its ugly head if for any reason the original and the attorney's copy are misplaced or destroyed. I didn't tell any of you about the new will or about the changes I made because I didn't want to spend my last months being harassed. But now that the doctors have assured me the end is approaching and there's nothing more they can do, I need, he corrected, to explain why I've done what I've done. Though I'm not sure any of you will understand or care. I'm going to start my explanation with a brief history of the MacKenna family. My parents were born, raised, and buried in the Highlands of Scotland. My father owned quite a bit of land. Quite a bit, he repeated. He paused to clear his throat and take another drink of water before continuing. When he died, the land came to my older brother, Robert Duncan II, and to me equally. Robert and I traveled to the United States to complete our education, and both of us decided to stay. Years later, Robert sold me his share of the land. With his inheritance, that made him a very wealthy man, and it made me the sole heir to the property called Glen MacKenna. I never married. I had neither the time nor the inclination. Robert married a woman I didn't approve of, but unlike my brother, I didn't threaten or carry on because he chose someone I didn't like. Her name was Caroline, a social climber. She obviously married Robert for his money. She certainly never loved him. She did do her duty, though, and gave him 2 sons, Robert Duncan III and Connell Thomas. And now to the heart of this history lesson. When my nephew Connell chose to marry a woman without social standing, his father disowned him. Robert had chosen someone else, a woman from an influential family, and he was outraged that his wishes were being ignored. Connell's wife, Leah, was no better than a street beggar, but Connell didn't seem to care about the money he would lose. He let out a huff of disgust and said, all Robert had left was his firstborn, a real yes-man who did whatever he was told to do. Over the years, I lost track of Connell, he continued. Too busy, he added as an excuse. All I knew was that he'd moved to Silver Springs just outside of Charleston. But then I got word that he'd been killed in a car accident. I knew my brother wouldn't go to the funeral, but I went. Not so much from a sense of obligation, I admit. I guess I was curious to see how Connell made out. I didn't tell Leah or anyone I was there, kept my distance. The church was packed with mourners. I even went to the cemetery and saw Leah with her 3 little girls, the youngest no more than a baby. He stopped as though envisioning the scene, not wanting to betray any hint of emotion that might cross his faded eyes. He looked away from the camera for a second. He straightened in his chair and resumed. I saw what I went there to see. The MacKenna line would continue through Connell's children, though it was a pity there weren't any boys. As for my brother's other son, Robert III, he indulged him, taught him to be useless. He didn't allow him to have ambition, and in return my brother lived long enough to watch his firstborn drink himself into an early grave. The sin of excess has been passed down to the next generation. I have watched Robert's grandsons squander their inheritance, and even worse, defile the MacKenna name. Bryce, the oldest, is following in his father's footsteps. He married a good woman, Vanessa, but she couldn't save him from his vices. Like his father, he's a drunk. He sold all of his stocks and cashed in his bonds and has gone through every dollar. He spent a good deal on alcohol and women, and only God knows what he did with the rest. And then there's Roger. He's been the most elusive, disappearing for weeks.